What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So 2 days ago, I made a video kind of updating, doing a little check-in on the first round of the 2023 draft, seeing how those prospects were progressing. And you guys seemed to really like it, and you guys wanted me to do it for 2022, 2021, and 2020. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to be doing 2020. These guys, what is it now? 30 months since they got drafted back in Montreal. I was there in the building. It was absolutely crazy when Slavkovsky got selected first overall. So we're going to go through it right now. We're going to check in on these prospects and see how their development is going. As you can see, a decent amount of them have played in the NHL. In fact, all of the top 11 players, 11 of the first 11 picks, have at least played one game in the NHL. So let's not waste any time. Let's dive into it. Up first, obviously, Slavkovsky, he's really taking that next step, take a massive step last year after a bit of a disappointing rookie year. People overreacted that. He was 18, 19 years old. He probably should have never been in the NHL to begin with. But last season, got the promotion to the first line. Him, Suzuki, and Caulfield really found their stride. 50 points, 8 points in 11 games right now. And I think at this point, we can kind of expect probably like a 60, 65 point season right now. And he's turning into kind of like a Mikko Rantanen power forward elite first liner. Maybe not Mikko Rantanen, 55 goals and 50 assists, but you get what I mean. He's going to be a very good first liner after a bit of question marks after his rookie season. He is proving that he is decently worth that first overall pick. Simon Nemec, a guy that I thought was going to take that next step this year, kind of hasn't. Had 19 points in 60 games, basically got the call up once Dougie Hamilton got hurt. Yeah, it's not that good at the NHL level. Still only 20 years old. I'm not going to massively overreact to this, but I had very high expectations for this guy. Hopefully, if he stays in the AHL, he just kills it there. But yeah, I was expecting Simon Nemec to take a decent step, even with them bringing in guys like Brett Pesce. Logan Cooley up next, a guy that was my number one prospect in the 2023 draft. And he, like Slavkovsky last year, very impressive season. Looks like he's taking that step yet again. Had a great start, first like 4 to 5 games, has slowed down a little bit, but I still think the playmaking and overall pace of this guy maybe will never be a franchise number one center, but I think he can definitely be an elite first liner. And when you have guys like when he's playing with a Dylan Gunther and Clayton Keller down the line, that line is going to be disgusting for the Utah Hockey Club. Shane Wright, disappointing start to the season thus far. Yes, I didn't know it was this bad, actually. I thought he had like 4 or 5 points. 2 points in 15 games right now. 5 points in 8 games last year, and he was very good at the AHL level. People are already ready to call this guy a bust. I wouldn't go that far. It's definitely not encouraging. Maybe he should go back to the AHL because Seattle, although they aren't the best offensive team, they just have so much depth. So this doesn't have the time on ice, but I'm sure he's playing like 10 to 12 minutes. He's not in this massive role. But yeah, Shane Wright, considering when you're looking at this draft class in January of 2022, everybody just penciled in Shane Wright for first overall. That's not really the case right now. And some of the guys after him also have kind of passed him. Cutter Gauthier, my Calder pick. His underlying numbers are actually pretty solid in the Anaheim Ducks. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I've been puppeting this. It has not been good for a guy that had 38 goals in 41 games. You got to score some fucking goals. But when looking at his underlying numbers, he's leading the entire Anaheim Ducks in expected goals percentage at 5-on-5. I'm still pretty confident in Cutter Gauthier that he's going to turn into a damn good first-line goal scorer, 35 goals-ish kind of pace playing with a guy like Leo Carlsson down the line. I'm still holding out hope, although the production has definitely been underwhelming considering the fact that he has been in a decent role in the Anaheim Ducks top 6. I believe now he's on that third line, but still playing with like Alex Killorn and Trevor Zegras, so there is some talent that he's playing with. But yeah, it's definitely been underwhelming to start for Cutter Gauthier, but the entire Anaheim Ducks offense, they're scoring like 2.1 goals per game. It's not good right now. David Jiricek, the guy that I had as my top defenseman prospect in this class. Yeah, it's tough. Columbus kind of has a bunch of old defensemen that hopefully they're going to move off of soon, like a guy like Ivan Provorov. So that's going to open up more opportunities for David Jiricek. Highly productive both years at the AHL level. I still think this guy at 6'4" with the shot that he has and offensive creation that he has, I think he can develop into a damn good player, and him and Denton Mateychuk are the future of the Columbus Blue Jackets. But again, it has not been that impressive. As we're seeing, some of these guys are not really that impressive as of right now. Kevin Korchinski, friend of the page, follows me on Instagram, so I'm a little bit biased. But yeah, had dominated with the Seattle Thunderbirds. I don't know. It was tough because I think because he's a WHL guy, he either had to play in the NHL or go back to the WHL. So I understand the Chicago Blackhawks playing him last year in the NHL instead of, again, going back to WHL, where in his draft year +1, he had 73 points in 54 games. He was dominating. I hate that rule because he probably should have been in the AHL last year. I think he still has the offensive upside to be a good top pair offensive defenseman with a guy like Artem Leshinov that's maybe more two-way of a guy. But yeah, last year it kind of stunk that he couldn't just tear it up with the Rockford Ice Dogs, and instead just got thrown on a pretty shit team. Not like he had the best pairs partner at the NHL level, and as a result, minus 39. But I'm still holding out hope. He's definitely more of an offensive guy, and I think that offensive talent is definitely still there for Kevin Korchinski. Marco Kasper, a Detroit Red Wings pick. When looking at it, solid numbers last year at the AHL, around half a point per game. In his draft year, +1. Was like a third of a point per game at the SHL level. Is pretty encouraging. Not the best NHL numbers right now, but he's playing in a bottom six role. I still think Marco Kasper can turn into like a good second line center at this point. Do I think that he has the offensive upside to turn into like a 60+ point guy? Probably not, but I think I'm more bullish on Marco Kasper than Nate Danielson that I talked about last video in terms of an NHL player. Matthew Savoy, the newest member of the Edmonton Oilers. 6 points in 10 AHL games is okay. He obviously dominated WHL last year. It's going to be a little bit of a process for him to make the NHL level, considering Edmonton is pretty deep when it comes to forward talent. But I still love that move for Edmonton because it's not like Ryan McLeod was playing that massive of a role. Maybe down the line he can turn into a legit second-line option to play with the Leon Draisaitl. But again, that's like 2 to 3 years away at this point. Pavel Mintyukov, rough start to the season, only 2 points again. Everybody on Anaheim, we can click over to Anaheim. Everybody on Anaheim is struggling for the most part, outside of like Troy Terry and Mason McTavish, even my boy Leo Carlson, 6 points in 13 games. But yeah, great rookie year, 28 points in 63 games. Still have the utmost faith in this guy that he's going to turn into a very good top pair defenseman. Maybe not that franchise number one, but I'm still very bullish on Pavel Mintyukov. Connor Geekie, recently traded to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They threw him at the NHL level, which I don't really hate. I think that those numbers are a little bit misleading in terms of the lack of production. I still think that he is a decent NHLer. I really like this pick for the Arizona Coyotes in the moment, shipping him off in the Sergachev trade. I thought they gave up a decent amount in J.J. Mosier and him into second-round pick. But yeah, I think Connor Geekie is going to be a really good ad for the Tampa Bay Lightning in the next 2 to 3 years, considering he's going to be dirt cheap and probably can play a solid middle six role, and that team's bottom six is severely lacking. I still really like Connor Geekie as a prospect. Denton Mateychuk, speaking of David Yurichuk before, 8 points in 10 AHL games. That is very encouraging. This guy, like Korchinski, but it was last year, dominated the WHL. Moose Jaw was an absolute wagon. And yeah, progressing pretty well at the AHL level. Keep him down there. Don't throw him at the NHL level to play 17, 18 minutes a night. You saw it at World Juniors, dude. This guy is an amazing skater and just has such a great feel for the game. I'm very optimistic for both Yurichuk and Mateychuk still for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Frank Nazar, this hits a little bit close to home considering the fact that he was involved in the Kirby Dach Alex Romanov trade. Could have been a New York Islander. That's very encouraging. 8 points in 8 AHL games. When looking at it, he obviously dealt with the serious injury his first year at the University of Michigan. Then 41 points in 41 games wasn't like that impressive, especially when you look at the fact Rucker McGrody, Gavin Brindley, who's a year younger, outproduced him. But 8 points in 8 AHL games. I think that probably not the second line center solution, as you saw in my mock draft. If you watch that, I think that they should potentially select one of the top centers if they're picking between 1 through 5 for the most part, even like a Roger McQueen. I think you might have to move him over to wing eventually, but he is still a very solid offensive talent for the Chicago Blackhawks. Rucker McGrody, Pittsburgh Penguins member. Oh my God, 1 point in 8 AHL games. He made the team. He wanted his playing time, did not really produce. Then 1 point in 8 AHL games. I thought he was going to be decently NHL ready. He is kind of a big body, 6'1", probably closer to like 210 at this point. But yeah, that's not good. That's not good. Great at Michigan last year. Yikes. Jonathan Lekkerimäki, a guy that might be getting the call up soon for the Vancouver Canucks. They traded Daniel Sprong for nothing for future considerations. So I think he's getting the call up. 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points in. I'm blocking it right now, but if you could see the 2024 World Junior stats, that's when he fully put the world on notice with 7 goals, 3 assists, and 10 points. Won the MVP, even though Sweden lost. But yeah, 5 goals in 7 games right now for the Abbotsford Canucks. This guy just scores goals. This guy just scores goals. He is a natural-born goal scorer. And for the Vancouver Canucks, maybe you bring him up, maybe you throw him with an Elias Pettersson to try to kind of wake up Elias Pettersson. He is looking like a future like 30, 35 goal scorer. Maybe even if he fully hits like 40 goal scorer. Noah Ostlund, a guy that I am very intrigued with, had very impressive SHL numbers last year, over half a point per game. Rochester, though, only 1 goal and 1 point. That is not good. Let me click on the Rochester. Isaac Rosen's killing it. God damn. Still decently high on Noah Austin, a very cerebral player. I think that he could turn into something, but there's just such a logjam with the goddamn Buffalo Sabres. They have him, Rosen, Kulich, Helenius, like where's the roster spots for them? They got to trade like Dylan Cousins or something. Joakim Kamel was a highly regarded prospect back in the 2022 draft. Like everybody had him top 10. He fell to 17th. Putting up very solid numbers with the Milwaukee Admirals at this point. 8 points in 9 games. Yeah, that's pretty encouraging. 41 last year. Good for the Nashville Predators. They got a pretty solid prospect pool. If they have to go down the path of rebuilding, if they get a top 7 pick this year, they're gonna have a decent future. Liam Bichelle, the big boy, 6'5", 224 pounds or 25 pounds, 4 points in 8 games, and definitely more so known for his defensive game than offensive. So that is very encouraging that he's clicking at around half a point per game. Again, it's only 8 games. We can't massively overreact. But yeah, 4 points, +5. Good on Liam Bichelle. I think it sucks that he's not a righty because they need right-handers. They don't really need lefties. They have Lindell, Harley, and Heiskanen. It's the right side of the defense the problem. Hopefully they're teaching him how to play the right side, considering he is a lockdown defensive guy. We need to get Lyubushkin and Dumba out of there. Liam Ogren. He was great last year at the SHL level, 12 goals, 19 points in 26 games right now. Played some games at the NHL level. I'm sure he was just kind of stuck in the bottom 6. You can't really expect that much. 1 goal in three games. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm assuming that right now he's at the AHL level. Just let him run at the AHL level. Minnesota's clicking on their own at the NHL level. Let this guy hopefully cook it around over half a point per game. I think he has the talent to do so because he was so productive at the SHL level. I'm still decently optimistic on Liam Ogren, but that's a little bit concerning. Ivan Shinchenko, 11 points in 11 games at the AHL level. Good on him. He got some experience at the NHL level last year, and it looks like he's taking that next step in the AHL. Very, very solid pick for the Washington Capitals. I believe he fell a little bit because this was at the start of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. I don't know if YouTube's going to suppress my video because I said that. But, yeah, he fell a bit, and he's a very talented guy. Looking like it's a solid deal. The solid pick right now for the Washington Capitals. Owen Pickering. Oh, I clicked on Owen Pickering. Yeah, I was not that high on him last year. People were saying, why is he not in your top 50? As you can see, didn't take a step last year in the WHL. 0 points in 10 AHL games. I get it's early on. But yeah, Owen Pickering is looking like a bit of a miss right now for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Next up, Nathan Gauthier. I don't know if it's French or something. Yeah, not really developing into much. 1 point in 10 games right now, 25 last year. Didn't really dominate the QMJHL after his draft year. Looks like kind of a whiff for the Anaheim Ducks. Jimmy Snuggerud, how's he doing at the college level? Very impressive. He had a monster first year at college, but that was in part because he was playing with Logan Cooley. He was playing with Matthew Nyes. That line is one of the best lines of the entire 21st century in college hockey. Then he had a bit of a down year, but it's looking like he's finding his groove right now. Still probably a top 50 prospect in hockey for me. And arguably the St. Louis Blues' best prospect, either him or Dalibor Dvorsky. Sam Rinzel, defenseman, 6'4". Got to put some weight on him if that's still true. 175. Geez. Playing pretty solid. First season for Minnesota was 0.75 points per game about. Now he's around point per game. Looks like University of Minnesota is kind of reloading the season. Got some more offensive talent. Could potentially be something for the Chicago Blackhawks. Maybe a second pair right-handed defenseman for them down the line. Philip Meshar, very good, solid numbers for the Kitchener. Well, actually, not as good as the year prior for Kitchener, but he's point per game right now at the AHL level. If you're Montreal, he's down the line in terms of their forward prospects, but maybe he can turn into something. Maybe he can turn into a solid scoring third liner at 5'8", 5'10". Next up, Philip Biested, solid SHL numbers last year, a little bit under half a point per game. Very encouraging AHL numbers both last year and this year. 6'3", 210 pounds, bit of a change of pace in terms of Celebrini and Smith, more smaller guys. He could potentially be their third line center of the future. I could definitely see it for Philip Biested. I remember being a little bit surprised that he fell that much. Yuri Kulich, another guy that I thought should have went way higher. Very impressive. His first year in the AHL, we were like, this guy's the fucking future. Put up around the same numbers last year, this year yet again. There's just no NHL spots. I feel bad for this guy. If he was in a different situation, he'd be prioritized way more. But considering Buffalo has all these good players, good like 2020, 2021 draft picks, like Jack Quinn, like JJ Peterka is very good, but like there's no NHL spot for him, even though the NHL team isn't that good right now. They just have such a logjam, and it just stinks for guys like Yuri Kulich. Maverick Lamoureux, he debuted recently for the NHL club. 2 points in 7 games. Again, 6'7". I remember watching this guy at World Juniors, and I was like, "That he is very impressive." And he has some offensive flair to his game, as you can see, around point per game at the QMJHL level. He's not like more so Liam Bichelle. It's more so defensively. He could turn into something. Him and Simashev in the same defense core. That is scary. That is absolutely scary for future teams. Brad Lambert, another guy like Kamel that really fell, but Lambert really is proving that he shouldn't have fell. 55 points in 64 games last year. Again, it's tough because Winnipeg does have a pretty damn good and deep forward core right now, so I'm not sure when he's going to get his looks. Hopefully next season he's going to be a full-time NHLer. But yeah, just a shit ton of talent. Really did not produce in his draft year in Finland, but the tape was still pretty impressive. I still had him in like my top 10, and as a result, it's looking like very good value. I realized I skipped Danil Yurov because I already clicked on him and he was already that level. But Danil Yurov, last year, monster numbers in the KHL. Not quite the same this season. Damn, I had him as like a top 15 prospect because the SHL numbers. He was on the team that won the KHL last year, as you can see, and I believe led them in scoring last season. Yeah, he did. So like that was insane. Not quite putting up this. Let's see if are other people producing. Okay, that's a little bit concerning for Danil Yurov, but still at 24th overall. Similarly to Ivan Miroshevchenko. Maybe fell a little bit because of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And then Isaac Howard, he's had an interesting college career. First season at University of Minnesota Duluth, he did not really produce that much, 17 points in 35 games. Transfers to a bigger school, then his point per game this season, slightly above point per game. I think he looked very good at World Juniors. I'm blocking it off again, but 7 goals, 2 assists, and 9 points. Very, very good offensive talent. I think he can maybe be something down the line for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They have 2 first-round picks in this draft. Reed Schaefer, not that. Oh, actually, he's playing pretty good. Damn, good for him. His AHL season last year was very underwhelming. 21 points in 63 games, 6 goals, 9 games. I don't know how sustainable that is, but that's definitely an encouragement. That's encouraging if you're a Nashville Predators fan. Still not really that high on him when looking at him, especially draft year. Very impressive. Then Seattle was an absolute wagon. His production didn't improve that much and wasn't that good at the AHL level. We'll go through. You guys wanted me to go through some of the other guys. Furcus, great value as of right now, was the WHL Player of the Year last year with 126 points, 8 points in 9 games in the AHL this season. Great value at 35th overall. Owen Beck, that's a Montreal guy, right? Ooh, 9 points in 10 AHL games. Very productive last year once he got to Saginaw. Good on Montreal. Fraser Midden, Leafs fans kind of overhyped this guy a little bit. Didn't really actually took a step back in his draft year +2 versus draft year +1, 67 and 57. Then down to slightly, well, still above point per game, but not as impressive. Who else we got? Julian Lutz is a German guy. But Jack Hughes, the other Jack Hughes, not as impressive this year at Boston University. Pontra, playing solid at the NHL level. Very impressive that he got NHL looks last year. Then obviously got hurt, but good on him. Odelius, my guy. 0 points in 11 AHL games. That stinks. Lane Hudson, 62nd overall. Already producing at a decent clip at the NHL level. Very, very good value there. Who else we got? Let me go to the third. Oh, Seamus Casey. I almost missed Seamus Casey. Goddamn. 8 points in 6 AHL games. Jesus! That is very impressive. He obviously ripped home 3 goals, had a disgusting goal against the Buffalo Sabres. The fact that he's already destroying the AHL, very impressive. 5'9" is a little bit concerning, but still, beast. Who else? Let me see if any of these. As you can see, I check the pages of the New York Islanders players pretty often. I'm not really. Who else? I'm definitely missing the other Elias Pettersson. Let's see how he's doing. All right, 3 points in the AHL. Isaiah George made his NHL debut. He's actually really impressed me offensively. He can actually create. I thought he was going to be more of a defensive guy. Danil Yurov. Only the Islanders guys I've clicked on. But yeah, let me know in the comments if I'm skipping by anybody right now that's absolutely killing it. Let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll probably do one for 2021, probably do one for 2020. By like 2019, we kind of know how those guys either like they're out of the NHL or they're still in the NHL killing it. But yeah, the 2022 draft, it's kind of underwhelming, but we kind of expected that on draft night. It's not the most impressive draft of the 2020s. Might be the worst. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? I'll be seeing